All right, so today's video, we're doing TikTok reacts. I don't know what to expect with these. Sometimes they can be funny, educational, all over the place, scuffed, hot takes. So we're just gonna start off with this one right here. We'll have all of the stuff in the description below if you want to check out the links to all of them. So here we go. If Mauga trailer was realistic.
Sorry to keep you all waiting, but now that I'm here, yep, that's my name, all right. This right here is Gunny, and she can light up the whole dance floor.
You know, it's not incorrect. That's the thing. Is like, that right there is exactly the sequence you should expect. Like, when you're playing that hero, that's exactly what you should expect to happen. Because you get purpled and just absolutely rolled. I love that, like, iteration of that, because that's exactly what happens. As a tank in general.
Actual gameplay footage. Going so soon. I'm gonna.
I love that. That's also correct, too, because that's what happens. Anytime you go in and use your ability as Mauga, like, have you ever tried to charge as Mauga? Have you ever tried to just charge in? You get absolutely rolled every single time. It's great.
Don't tell me that's it. Both hearts are made.
If you're wondering, by the way, you didn't see it happen because it wasn't showing the animation, but the Mauga got hit by the honor grenade, and that was that. I love that.
I got your back.
Ooh la la.
Like, I was just a widow.
Here I come. Sensei Quickiki. We got him where we want him.
Brilliant.
You know, I gotta say, from somebody who has a lot of time on Mauga, especially in the first couple of weeks, it's so accurate, though. Like, you ult somebody and you're like, this is gonna be huge. This is gonna be amazing, right? I cannot wait. And then that happens. It's so good. I love that.
People have been talking about adding hero bans to Overwatch to help solve the counter-swapping issue, and honestly, I think that's the biggest piece of dog shit that they could ever add to the game. For one, there are many one-tricks in the game who will throw anytime someone on their team even mentions a possibility of swapping heroes. Now imagine what that person's gonna do if their one-trick gets banned. Overwatch already feels like the most coin-flippy game in existence. Now factor...
I do want to pause one thing on this one about the hero ban thing. If they ever introduce something to do with hero bans, etc., you would have to make it, and this is just to talk about the discussion, you would have to make it so you cannot see what the other people play. You would have to hide their names too, because like in top 500, you might recognize a bunch of people, and you're just going to automatically ban those people. You're going to just ban whatever hero they play. So if they ever introduced it, and I'm not saying they should, I'm saying if they ever did, you would have to make sure that like that stuff was hidden. Otherwise, people would literally just ban based off of what people play the most. It would be so scuffed.
in your team throwing or losing because someone's one trick was banned. Or even if they aren't a complete one trick but just have a small hero pool, being forced onto different heroes that they aren't comfortable on is almost a guaranteed loss. Trust me, I hate getting a Mercy, Moira, Genji, Ball, or Doom one trick that refuses to swap, but your best chances of winning are to play around them. I mean, they'll just throw if you ask them to swap anyway. Also, hero bans would just suck for everyone at all levels of skill. In lower ranks, people would just ban the easy value heroes like Bastion and Moira, forcing anyone who crutches those heroes onto something where they can't just AFK and get ridiculously high numbers. And in high ranks, everyone would just ban the hard counter heroes like Brig and Ana and Kiriko, severely weakening the support role for high levels of play and just making it miserable for supports in high ranks. This isn't to say I'm not glad that they are looking into options to help with counter swapping. I just think that this particular solution is...
I mean, like, I think that's why they probably won't, like, do something like hero bans. But it's more along the lines of, like, top 500, yes, with the meta bans. I don't think people will start to ban, like, more than... It really depends. Like, I'm trying to think of what would happen. I think it would become more of, like... What's the way to explain this? I think whoever has the ability to do the bans on the team, if it's down to one person, will just ban whoever they don't like playing against in some ranks. More than it will be about, we're just going to ban Moira, right? I think it'll be more of like, what hero does this person not like playing against? They will ban that hero. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's what would happen in a lot of ranks. Top 800, yeah, they would just ban meta heroes. Or, like, if you knew what other people were. But I think in other ranks, it would just be like, I don't like playing against this hero's banned. That's probably what happened. It would just ban. Like, it could be like, the Pharah on your team gets the hero bans, and then bans Widow, Ana, and, like, Diva. There's, like, no rhyme or reason, and then you see it when they pick Pharah. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think, like, yeah, I mean, that's if it's individual based. Keep that in mind, right? Like, there's just a lot there. I just don't know. I don't know if it, I don't know. I think the one thing they did bring up that it was correct is it's good they're testing stuff. And you want them to test stuff and give things a try. Whether or not they'll be good or not, I think there's opportunity to test stuff and see if how it would feel. My guess is it won't be as ideal, but like at least, you know, maybe like a random test on it.
This is how you beat a pocketed widow. Step 1, locate the... This is how you beat...
That's all wrong. Yeah, that's about it, yeah. You know what? I can't disagree with that one. I was expecting nothing less from that right there. I just want to point that out. I was expecting nothing less than what we just watched. I knew it was going to be something like that. Oh, that was great.
Fake game I'm playing. Honestly, we're gonna get her. Excuse me. How many could it? Wait, I hit 6 direct hits and.
Oh, listen, we've all been there. We've all been there. Let me tell you. It's a nice job healing the Ana. That's you know how I always meme about like, oh, I just healed the Ana? That's exactly what it is. You go to like damage somebody, and like you have like it happens a lot when you're playing a hero that you're also like, hey, this heroes you're really good at, right? And you know that it should get the elim. So you don't watch the elim finish. You're like, oh, I got the elim, and the next thing you know, they survive it, and you just get rolled. It happens so much with me on Sigma because like I'm like, okay, doing this right, hit the rock, yeah, hit the directs, I'm good to go. Let's walk away. We're gonna go to the next target, make sure we're good. And then Ana's looking at me like, hey, you forgot about something. And I'm just like, oh, come on! Happens all the time. All right, here we go.
What if I told you that learning to play Tracer helped me learn to play Ana better? What this boiled down to were 2 basic things. The first is that my Tracer plays made me anxious about dives more as an Ana player. Until I played Tracer, I didn't fully understand the value of diving the Ana. I mean, once Ana is out of the team fight, the team falls apart completely. Obviously, there's the loss of healing, but the bigger problem is you lose her nade and her sleep dart. The second thing I learned from Tracer that helped me with Ana is to...
Side note, by the way, I absolutely love like the mic cover here. This looks really cool. I love the aesthetic of that. I know that's completely random, but I just want to point out I love the aesthetic of what you've done with like the mic stand and like the mic. I just want to point that out. Looks cool. I'll talk about the rest of this after.
To look for more opportunities to make a play. As Tracer, you have incredibly fast movement, which helps you to have constant opportunities to make a play. This gave me more chances per game to try to make a play and figure out what worked and what didn't work. The big contrast with Ana is that Ana is incredibly slow, but a beautifully landed nade on the backline can wrap up a fight. Playing Ana today, I held a 75% win rate and maintained my Platinum 2 rank as support in day 141 of my journey to becoming a high-level Overwatch competitor.
Oh, you got this.
If you believe in my journey, tap the follow button.
Yeah, you got this 100%.
What?
So I do want to talk about that very quickly.
The first is that my Tracer plays made me...
This isn't, like, incorrect, by the way. To give you an idea, you want the Sigma one-shots back so bad. Yeah, they won't do that, and I think, like, the thing is a lot of people weren't getting the full value out of the one-shot, so they were okay with removing it, and they wanted to keep things consistent. I know why they did it. Like, don't get me wrong, as a Sigma player, I miss that combo. I use that combo a lot, but I also understand, like, why they wanted to get rid of it, to be more consistent with that. Obviously, we've kind of fallen back into heroes one-shotting you again, etc. But what I will say is this isn't incorrect at all. When you learn how to play other heroes, you know how to play against those heroes. For example, I have gotten much better at Doomfist, so when I play against Doomfist now, I play much better against a Doom. So, like, it goes for pretty much anything, exactly. When you learn how to play other heroes, even to, like, a very basic level, you can then, on your stronger heroes, know how to play against those heroes because you know what to look for. So, no, it's not a bad, honestly, it was, I agree. And they, you know, I think they will be able to climb a high-level Overwatch. You got this. I'll see you in the ranked game soon.
Zenyatta Bathmaster skin is meta for Zen players.
Okay.
There's a tech that many players don't know that lets you shoot all 5 orbs of Zen's right click much faster than fully charging it. Most people know that you can let go of right click before it's fully charged, but the 5th orb lingers in a charged state for a while after it's ready to go. You can demonstrate perfect timing by turning on toggle secondary fire in the settings for Zen. The way the duck skin is useful is because of its audio cues. That's right, all those squeaky sounds when you shoot, reload, and charge your orbs, those aren't just cute, those are useful. When you're charging your right click, the skin makes a squeak sound when each orb is ready to fire.
Interesting.
You can use this to pay attention and eventually memorize the exact timing required to shoot his 5 orb much more efficiently and way easier than before. Now I will say you should be spamming left click a lot more than right click, but this trick can help you increase your uptime and spend less time charging behind walls. And that's why...
Oh, I was wondering, said, okay, you know what though? It's funny because I thought this video was going to go in like such a different direction. You know what I mean? Like I thought it was going to be like it's just some giant meme. But I get that. It basically just you just look at the ammo count. What they're saying is this. What they're saying is first of all, the duck Zen skin's great to begin with. I just want to point that out. Like you could have just stopped it right here. Like we could have just paused it right here and I would have understood. You know what I mean? Like you could have paused it right here. I'd be like, "Yep, that's a great skin." But what it does is what they're saying is like it adds like a sound cue. So you can have a sound cue that can help you understand timings, and then that can become almost like second nature to just like the timings on Zenyatta. You get what I'm saying? That's pretty much what they're saying. That's pretty cool. I didn't even realize that. I don't have the skin, so I didn't realize that was a thing. That's cool.
Overwatch is winnable after this. Me and my friend are mid-diamond DPS players and queued up for a late night game. Somehow we ended up in a Plat 2 lobby with a diamond/masters DPS on the enemy team. So on both teams there were people of a lower rank. Our attack comp consisted of Ryan, Cassidy, Tracer, which is me, Mauga, and On our team. Now, this is a shit comp for the order first. Seems there's nothing that would contest the dominant high ground. But I tried not to judge and I played like I would in any scenario, so I just looked for an opening on a high ground flank. A minute and a half into the round, both of the supports started flaming us. Now, to be fair, I did practically nothing because it was difficult to push a boot camp with damage boosted heat scans and a payload, so I could have switched or I could have played better. However, it was difficult for our tank to create space because of those flaming supports who were probably top 500 smurfs, since they knew everything that was wrong. And I could tell by the impressive demonstration of their mechanical skill on the Mauga character, with their contenders level game sense, aim and positioning. Our Mauga finished the first round 1-7, while screaming in chat that me and my friend needed to be avoided by the entire lobby at all cost. We only managed to push payload this far, and it was practically GG. Unless... Yes, we actually won that. I left voice and text chat and focused on the game. The enemy team thought...
First of all, I do want to point out, this part of the map is so easy to hold. I've talked about this even like prior to like seeing this. Like, this part of Dorado is, you can hold here so easily. I've won top 500 games here multiple times. Second of all, this sounds like a game they had where basically everybody was mad at each other. And then they stopped being as mad at each other, and then they won. Is that where we're at right now?
Thought that the game was won since our team was falling apart, and they only had to push past one choke. They became severely overconfident. We played a better poke comp with Sigma. And me being isolated from those toxic gold players made me perform better, and my aim woke up. And in all fairness to my supports, they played well and didn't die once during defense. And that's why...
Hey, you know what though? I gotta say, I didn't know where this was going. I didn't know what was happening, but I do like at the end they still said, you know what, my sports played well. I like to hear that. I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously it can suck when you get a game like that, especially when like you kind of have that. It can be experience, right? Now, obviously, I will in top 100 games, I don't see it as much, but like I know that like these type of games exist where it's just like you'll have some scuff comp, your teammates are telling you you're not playing it right. So it just sounds like what happened was both players couldn't get mad at each other, and then they just played better, and then they played well. So, well, they say, and that's why, so that way, when it syncs up, it will play right at the beginning again. So, like, the idea, what you do is, I don't know if we do it, because I don't know how it edits, but, like, basically, you end the TikTok with a question, and it loops back to the beginning of the video, which is you answering your question. See? Smart. Yeah, this one's a tough one, because, like, I don't know the whole context of it. It just sounds like it was a tough game, and then they won.
Terms main healer and off healer are just silly, and you should stop using them. Not only is trying to categorize supports by healing output generally stupid, it just doesn't work. And Brigitte is living proof of this. Brigitte is a hero I often hear referred to as an off healer, but then she is entirely capable of out-healing main healers like Ana or Kiriko. To heal, Brig needs to keep her Inspire passive up. To do this, she needs to hit someone. To hit someone, Brig needs to be close. And it just so happens that dive heroes also want to be close. So if you are playing Brig into a dive composition, you are bound to have higher healing output. Same thing goes for other supports in different regards. Baptiste struggles to kill Winston when he dives, or heal an Echo or Pharah in the sky, while Ana can easily heal those targets. Stop trying to categorize based on healing. Just pick the right hero for the job.
I think a way to describe that
Just
is like
pick the right.
I'm trying to think of a way to describe what's going here. It's like I think the main healer off healer was definitely more of a 6v6 terminology, mainly because you had like different things that were happening. Obviously, in Overwatch 2, we've had a shift from that. I think there's been a shift like that in general. An example of this, it just goes a little bit further than what they were talking about. Like if you play Ana Brig and then you play Brig Lucio, are you playing Brig the same way? And I think that's more of like what I think that is what the I think that's what this is being described as here. I think it's more along the lines of like I think what's being said here is it's more along the lines of there's more to than just like, okay, you're gonna go Ana to heal the tank and then like if you can run Brig Lucio, but you run Brig Lucio as like a brawl comp, but there's technically no main healer or main support, right? Because Lucio and Brig are both considered off supports, right? So like you're not having that, but I think it's just more in the direction of just like look at like what helps the team comp than anything else. Does that make sense? I don't know. I don't even hear it as much anymore now. Like in Overwatch 1, you'd hear like main support, off support, or like flex support. I think it's become more main support and flex support, right? I swear it changed a bit. I mean, I don't hear it as much anymore anyway, so I don't know. It's hard for me to. I feel like it's just changed anyway. Like you're not really playing that way anymore with that. But I mean, at the same time, I can see. So, all right, we got a Boger one. I'm sure this will be a treat. I feel like whenever you watch a Boger TikTok, you don't know what to expect. Let's find out.
Passive Life Weaver hat. Give it to Bastion, but instead of dropping a flower, you drop Ganymede and you just eat him, and you heal 50 HP. You can do the same with Ball as well. When Ball dies, Hammond just drops from it, and you just eat him for 50 HP.
Yep. I wouldn't expect anything less. Listen. Do you remember? Oh man, do you remember the TikToks Boger was doing at the beginning of Overwatch 2? Those were a treat. Does he still do those? Where he just comes up with the most ridiculous thing that doesn't actually exist in the game? Like they don't even exist. Like in Overwatch, was Boger the one that said that you could like? I can't remember. You could speed boost the push bot. Was that Boger or was that somebody else? Like at the beginning of Overwatch 2, it was just the most ridiculous things. Like it was. That's why I said I didn't know what to expect when we're gonna get there. Here we go. What do we got?
You can bait resources in Overwatch. Even the smartest players can be intimidated if you back them into a corner. Some of the things you can do is apply a lot of pressure to one player so that a support panics and uses their cleanse or immo field or trance, and then you can ult and not have to worry about them countering it. Just be careful not to feed too much into the support ults. You can also pair Ana with Junker Queen and use Ana's nade to bait a cleanse before JQ ults. You can bait Zarya bubbles by cornering her. Drop more suggestions for baiting resources in the comments and follow for more Overwatch videos.
That was good. Honestly, that was good. I think that's some players might be like, oh, I know this stuff. Like, believe it or not, really basic tips are good to know. Like, this is a good tip to know. Like, if you have an ultimate and you can bait out a resource, it's a good way to do that, right? That's not bad. Yeah. Have an Ana throw a grenade. You can get a cleanse out. Going with Queen ult. You got a free ult, right? So, yeah. I don't mind that. That's good. That's good information to have. And good information to think of. It's good to remember this stuff because you may know it, but then, like, you could be reminded of it and then actually use that in-game. So.
Tank players really aren't allowed to have fun in Overwatch 2, and as somebody who used to love playing tank, I really want to talk about why. First off, counter-swapping. The transition from 6v6 to 5v5 has made counter-swapping tanks the most common and broken tactic in Overwatch. But Spider, counter-swapping is part of the game! Do you actually think it's a skillful play to see a Winston and then click on the Bastion guy after you die? It's not. In 6v6, at least you might have a D.Va to protect you, but now you're just kinda dead. And with only one tank on the field, it's just way more valuable to counter than it ever was before. If you're playing Ball and they swap Sombra, your team just doesn't have a tank anymore. And yes, Ball can play into Sombra and still win, and a good Ball knows how to hunt down Sombra and try to cancel hacks, but I don't want to cancel hacks. I don't want to be chasing the Invisible Lady all game. I want to play Overwatch. If you don't play tank, you just won't understand, but these dudes are literally having mental breakdowns in my games at this point over these counter swaps.
Remove Sombra from the game! She ruins the entire game!
Second, supports are just way too...
Sounds like me and my quick play games. Let me tell you. I don't know about you, chat, but whenever I play quick play, oh, if there's a Sombra on the team, you load into a quick play game. There's the question. This is what happens when you load in. You ready? Load into quick play. They go, does the other team have a tank? Go on Sombra. That's it. Yeah, I mean, like, the one statement they've made, and I've talked about it previously, is like, 5v5, the counter swap becomes more obvious with the tank, right? Like, it's just so much easier to know how to counter swap the specific tank that it just happens so much. Now, I think that will always exist, especially in 5v5. It's just, what can they do to help minimize? That is the question, and I think that's something they're probably looking at this year. I'm really curious to see what this change they're going to be doing. Because they mentioned in the interview when Flats and I were talking to Alec, it was like, they're going to be making changes in Season 9 that we don't know what they are, but it sounds like it could help in general, so maybe, I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, like, I'm curious.
Too strong. Nothing dies to you as tank. I could walk in and shatter an entire team, but oh wait, is that a Kiri coming back from spawn? Oh, and now she TPs and cleanses my entire shatter and I get killed? What? Don't even get me started on Lifeweaver. That hero is a tank player's nightmare whether or not he is on your team or against you. Lastly, mobility creep is insane. Let's take a look at every hero.
For some reason, I'm just singing a meme machine right now going, did I record this? Lifeweaver, I mean, not incorrect in the sense that, like, you know what the thing is, though? You know what my hot take, chat? I've been playing with some really good Lifeweavers in top 500, and, like, when they play Lifeweaver well, Lifeweaver's pretty good. I'm saying Lifeweaver's not that bad. But yes, you can also have difficulty of a Lifeweaver pulling you.
Majorly reworked since the release of Overwatch 1. That leaves us with 19 heroes. How many of these 19 heroes have no mobility? 2. Ana and Sig are the only heroes added to Overwatch that have no mobility, and even Sig kinda does in the form of his ult and his rock jump tech. With this much mobility in the game, how is anybody supposed to get value out of ults like Orissa's, Balls, Dooms, Divas, and Sigs?
Actually, technically, what I'm learning from this is not that there should be less mobility, is that we should give Ana and Sigma jetpacks. I think that's what I've learned. Because listen, what's going to be easier here? Going back to all of the heroes right there and to get rid of all the mobility on them, or just give Ana and Sigma jetpacks? What's going to be easier to do? At this point, if that's the case, let's just give everybody. Listen, doesn't Ana know someone that can give him a jetpack, you know? I was going to say, I mean, in the lore, Farah's Ana's daughter, so I mean, it's just, you know, hey, you got any spare jetpacks?
To activate, and 90% of the roster can just press a button and leave. So Blizzard, how are we going to fix this? First off, we need to stop adding heroes with mobility. It's about time we get some more grounded heroes in this game to even things out. It shouldn't feel like every single game I play, everybody just escapes everything I do. Second, we need to stop adding supports that can make people immortal. I'm sick of Suzu, I'm sick of Immort, and I'm sick of Grip. Third, find a way to make counter-swapping against tanks less favorable. We can try something minor, like allowing tanks to keep more ult charge than other roles after swapping. If minor changes can't fix this, maybe it's time.
That wouldn't first of all, letting tanks have more ult charge, I want to point out right now, one, I don't think people would like it if you just had more, like basically what they're saying is have more Widowmakers. I don't think people would like that. Two, the ult charge thing wouldn't change anything. Most of the time, people are counter swap, and people are going to counter swap. Like I'm going to be honest with you, I'll be on 80% ultimate. Well, I guess this is okay, this is not everybody, but, like, I generally don't look at my ult charge unless I have my ultimate, and when I swap, if the swap will be stronger for my team overall, than just, like, being like, oh, I'm at 32% ult charge. If I'm going to switch now so I get that ult charge. I just switch because, or I'll be at 80% and I'll switch just because I know it's going to be better than that, so.
Time we start discussing 6v6 again. How do you guys feel about tank right now? It's the smallest community in the game, and it feels like tank players don't really have a voice these days.
I mean, the 5v5, 6v6 discussion, I think, is something that will always happen. I'm in a different spot with it because I played so much Orisa Sigma and, like, Sigma Wrecking Ball style comps towards the end of Overwatch 1 for, like, 3 years that I just don't have, like, a definitive opinion on that one. I wasn't playing Ryan Zarya for years. I was playing Sigma. So, but I think they're going to stick with 5v5. Yeah, that's what will happen. And even now, they'd have to rebalance almost the whole game with some of the heroes.
You have no supports.
Should we draw it? I think we got the edge.
Yeah, I think we draw.
Yeah, I was smart.
Yeah, we don't have any ults.
Yeah,
we don't have any ults. If we play this out, we're gonna sit on point. We're just gonna get spammed out. So he's gonna get ult, and they can snowball more ults.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, hey, it's a draw. Listen. The rare draw and push. You don't see a draw and push happen too often. I'll be honest with you. That is definitely something you don't see happen often. Like, at all.
Mauga's hero design is problematic, and we can't continue to release tanks like this. I wanted to make a video talking about this because I feel it is important to try and get this across to the developers, and I want to make it clear why Mauga's design doesn't work. The introduction of 5v5 at the start of Overwatch 2 fixed some issues, but also created a gaping flaw in the design of plenty of tanks. Some tanks were really good at specific things, and weak to other things. For example, D.Va can be really good in a dive composition, but against a sim brawl composition, she might get absolutely run down. The reason this is an issue is because there isn't another tank to balance things out anymore. Reinhardt D.Va used to be super good for brawl compositions, and Reinhardt would deal with the frontline situation while D.Va would control high grounds and mark flankers or look for off angles.
Did somebody just ring the doorbell in the middle of recording this? Yeah, listen, I from somebody who's recorded videos and like I've redone like what I've done, imagine being on like your best take that you're recording and then somebody rings the doorbell. Now, if the question is, do you keep that doorbell in the background? 100%. You got to keep that there. You know, listen, if this is your best take, you're leaving it there.
Now, since you can only have one or the other, you absolutely have to pick the right one for the job instead of having more flexibility with where you can play certain heroes. Now, I actually think a hero like Ramatra is a step in the right direction. He can be played in a lot of different circumstances, and you really can't hard counter Ramatra, right? Mauga, on the other hand, is absolutely terrible in terms of this 5v5 tank flaw, right? He is almost too good in certain situations, to the point where you need to swap when playing against him. But it's also super easy to shut him down the moment he can't do the thing that he's good at anymore, which is pretty much just shredding tanks and close targets. The fact that I will start on Winston on Watchpoint Gibraltar, see the other team is playing Mauga, and then go back to spawn and go D.Va is just sad. It's one thing to have heroes that counterplay, like Brig for example, who I don't mind playing against on Winston at all, actually, right? But it's another thing to have Mauga that can just completely prevent you from playing the video game, right? And it's just, it doesn't make sense for you to play Winston anymore, just go something else.
I kind of want to pause for a second though, because I feel like what's happening right now, right? Just to talk about this very quickly, I think what's happening, and maybe I'm seeing it differently here with like tanks. I feel like there's a lot more in the game that's just the tanks themselves that's happening. And what I mean by that is like, I think this is why when we were talking to Alec about stuff, he was kind of just saying like, we're looking at things outside of just like the tank specifically, like burst damage and burst healing, things that are really strong. But they're not like, what happens if you don't have as much burst healing or as much burst damage? Where do some of these tanks settle now, right? And I think that's kind of where they're looking at right now, rather than just specifically looking at the tanks themselves. I think they're looking at like the overall picture of the game and where that's at. Because that's the problem, right? Like what you're hearing is like, oh, Mauga is there, and then you can shut down Mauga, but you can shut down Mauga without a grenade, but then you can shut down, like there's so many different variations that are happening. So like, it's... The points being brought up aren't like bad. It's just more like I think they're looking deeper than just like, oh, it's on a tank. Like I think they what happens if there's less burst damage? What happens if there's less burst healing? Right? If there's less burst healing, are you having these issues with Mauga? Are you having these issues with Roadhog, who is clearly having survivability like they talked about? I'm not saying Hog's amazing, but Hog has a lot of survivability now. Do these issues become worse? Do they become better when there's less burst damage or less burst healing, etc.? I think that's what you'll have to see next, more than like, oh, that's just the tanks.
Else, especially once you're playing at your rank, right? In a GM1 game, why would I put myself at that kind of a disadvantage, right? You know, obviously I can still beat a Mauga if I'm playing Winston and Plat, but you put me in GM, there's no reason to put myself at that disadvantage, right? I know a lot of players aren't going to like.
Technically, right now, in GM1, what is happening, or what I'm seeing in top 500 games, is we all kind of just agree to, we just both tanks roll out of spawn, not as Mauga, and we go, hey, I see what you're doing. Or somebody rolls out as Mauga, then I go, oh, and I go back to spawn.
My solution, but I honestly think it's the best solution. And that's that we need to make tanks more similar to each other and reduce the amount of extreme strengths and weaknesses. That design philosophy would reduce the prevalence of counterpicking and would generally improve the game experience, especially for your average player.
It's so hard to say. I feel like this is something that like we reevaluate this discussion like halfway into the year when we have the new heroes that are in. And then, like, we kind of go, okay, listen, this is where it's at. It's so hard to say because, like, they're not gonna. I don't think they're just gonna go and like try to make every tank play the same. Like, they're not gonna make every tank play like Ryan. But I mean, this has kind of been like a thing overall. Like Ryan was really good for a while, then they introduced like Orisa, and then Orisa slowly became really. This is Overwatch 1. Started to be really good at like breaking the shield, so Ryan got a little bit worse, and then you had Sigma, who ended up being like a non-mobile Reinhardt who had more damage. Like they've kind of, it's just a lot there. I feel like it's like I think there's more to it, and I want to like kind of think of a better way to like articulate my thoughts with it, but I don't really have quite the. I think that their first direction they're gonna go is looking at things like burst damage, burst healing, and like the pain points of some abilities. And then they'll start to look in like their philosophy on like how they design a hero, maybe, if that's the case. But I don't think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to go with other stuff. Anyway, let's see what this one says.
Role has the worst players by rank. This is simply my opinion and for entertainment purposes only, so if you disagree respectfully, let me know in the comments. Starting with bronze, I'm gonna have to go with DPS. And it's not even really their fault, it's just no one can really aim in bronze, and when your entire role is about aiming, you kinda just get the short end of the stick there, so sorry DPS bronze players. For silver, I'm gonna have to say tank. Silver is where the crying for heals really starts to kick in, and tanks just do that all the time in this rank. And I know for a fact you are not playing in line of sight of your supports. For gold, again, it's tank, and this time it isn't exactly their fault. In gold, every other role just gets such easy value. DPS go Bastion Junkrat, supports go Mercy Moira, and unfortunately the tank role just isn't so cut and dry with easy value, unless you buy this season's battle pass. And for platinum, we've all been waiting for it, it's supports. Plat is where DPS finally learn how to aim, tanks finally learn how to play cover a few times, but
Let's
support
go one
players
more
just
month for the
stick to their
year.
guns of Mercy Moira. They refuse to swap the entire time because they have so much healing, so they can't possibly be the problem, so they type GG, DPS diff, or tank diff at the end of the game.
You know what? I can't really comment on this one as much as I would like because I have no idea. I watch a lot of like spectating, but I see like every role kind of struggle in different areas. So like, I don't know. You said they're absolutely correct, are they? I mean, yeah, like I think, chat, do you have any like opinions on this one? Respectfully? I love that at the beginning here.
This is simply my opinion and for entertainment purposes only, so if you disagree respectfully, let me know in the comments.
I just love that statement in like TikTok. Meanwhile, you know, I'm sitting here 52-1 on Sigma in like a top 500 game. Somebody in TikTok, you're trash. You're just awful at the game. What are you doing? Like, what? Like, yeah, I just watched you miss a rock. You're awful. I missed one. I don't care. You're terrible. I'm better than you. 1v1. I just like that disclaimer at the beginning. I don't know. Does it sound correct to you, chat? I can't. I don't know. Hey, it's an interesting list, that's for sure. We'll have to see. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, sub to all 3 YouTubes if you haven't. If you want to see more TikTok reacts, let me know. We have a section on my Discord. If you join, look in the description below. My Discord is a section there if you want to post some stuff we can possibly react to. Hope you enjoyed this. We'll have all the links to people's TikToks in the description, so that way you can see where every clip was, all that. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for all the love. And with that being said, oh, we're recording this live on stream. You can see the Twitch chat right there. And with that being said, I hope you all have an amazing day/night.